The 23rd of June, 2016, the day of Britain's referendum on whether to stay in the European Union or to leave.
I think there are a lot of benefits from being in the European Union.
I feel that there's a lack of democracy in the European Union and the decisions are taken at a level that's too far away from the ordinary members of the Union, so that's why I voted to leave.
People who want to take back England for what it used to be, it's not really what is really good for us.
In the end, it came as a surprise to many. Only 48% of the population voted for Britain to remain in the EU, but the new Prime Minister promised...
Well, I couldn't be clearer. Brexit means Brexit, and we're going to make a success of it. There will be no attempts to remain inside the EU.
Britain is out, but how did that happen?
Hier lernst du die verschiedenen Positionen und Argumente der Debatte kennen und verstehst dann wahrscheinlich auch, warum es Vor- und Nachteile einer Mitgliedschaft gibt.
What do people in the UK think about Britain's EU membership? We're at the London School of Economics, one of the world's most famous business schools. This is where students from all continents and cultures start their careers in the financial sector. Number 1, European Union, no.
What argument do you know for Britain staying or leaving the EU?
I would say the strongest argument for leaving is that the British pound is quite strong and that the current economic climate in the EU is dragging them down.
Well, I know that the far-right conservatives, they want to leave the EU because of economic reasons, so that they have more control over their own policies.
Yeah, I guess it's confusing to understand everything around the EU.
The institutions need some reform. I mean, there's a vast overspending in some of them in the institutional structures.
Part of it is due to the fact that national governments don't really make much effort to explain it, and also when something or a policy or regulation is not popular, then they prefer to say it's Brussels, but when it's popular, they prefer to say it's the national government, so that might help.
Some of the arguments are that this is going to compromise British jobs, and it's going to make it difficult for Britain to retain its sovereignty and its decision-making in relation to a federal European Union.
Well, there are arguments based on the fantasy ideas that we could make it better in an independent world, but I don't think they've got any credibility, really. It's based on fear. It's based on fear of foreigners, and I think it's a profoundly wrong set of ideas.
The UK party that really fought for the so-called Brexit is UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party. Political scientists characterize the party's ideology as right-wing populism. The party strongly identifies itself with Euroscepticism.
I absolutely hate what masquerades as Europe, namely the European Union, run by these really rather overpaid bureaucrats who actually want to take away nation-state democracy from all of us in Europe and put us together under a new flag, a new anthem, a new army, a new police force, and a new identity. None of us have ever given consent for this.
Their poster campaign tries to convince people that Britain is in a miserable situation. For example, this poster, which states 26 million people in Europe are looking for work, and whose jobs are they after, tries to induce the fear of being replaced by a cheaper workforce coming from other member states. But of course, there are also arguments for staying.
Number 2, European Union, yes.
I think Britain has been part of the EU for good reason. We have a lot of economic benefits of being part of the EU. We are an island nation. It doesn't make sense to stand alone in a very globalized world. We're very much interconnected, and I think it's foolish to think that without the interconnectivity that we're going to progress in the world.
Free travel and education for people in Britain?
I think there's at least 3 arguments. One is about the unity of Europe as a political entity, or the no wars thing, which I guess would be a German starting point. The second would be the enormous economic benefits. I mean, the UK is totally integrated within the European community economically, and it would be very, very eccentric to then leave it.
50% of our trade comes from the EU.
economically, it would be disastrous. Especially in London, 60% of us are foreign-born. So yeah, I think it's crucial that we stay.
Multicultural, we're all better together. We're working better when there's a lot of different cultures and personalities coming together, so yes.
But in fact, the answer was no. The Leave campaign won. London's former mayor, Boris Johnson, fought hard for the idea of an independent Britain.
We have a chance actually to do something. I have a chance actually to do something. I would like to see a new relationship based more on trade, on cooperation, but as I say, with much less of this supranational element.
But also former Prime Minister David Cameron, who in general was in favor of an EU membership, always stressed the disadvantages of being a full-fledged member state.
When it comes to the single market, we're one of 27, with many of the best ideas for making that market generate growth and jobs, and we're listened to. But when it comes to the euro, no, we're not there. When it comes to the Schengen, no borders in Europe plan, I don't want to be there. I want us to have borders to protect against illegal immigration, drugs and guns. I think it's right for Britain to say, well, which bits of Europe most benefit us as a nation, and to focus on those things. And I'm not frightened of the fact that sometimes you might not be included in something.
So, many Brits favored an EU membership first and foremost for its many practical benefits rather than for its ties to a social community. A tragic split. 52% voted for Britain to leave the EU. 48% voted remain. It will take years to find out whether it was for the better or the worse for the former global power to change into a nation that now strongly focuses on sovereignty.
It's going to be a really interesting and very scary time, I think, ahead of us for the next 5-10 years.
It's completely idiotic. I think it's economic insanity.
I just don't like Europe, really. I don't trust them. I really don't.
Jetzt kennt ihr auch schon die wichtigsten Argumente, die in Großbritannien immer wieder fallen, wenn es darum geht, EU, ja oder nein. Oder ist es zu schnell gegangen? Dann hier nochmal die Zusammenfassung.
EU membership, the cons. The EU is considered to create a lot of bureaucracy and confusion. The legislation is seemingly useless. There's a lot of overspending. Britain's sovereignty and democracy are considered to be at stake. Decisions are made by a central power in Brussels. There are economic reasons, such as the EU quality standards that interfere with the ones of the Commonwealth, the strong British pound, and EU subsidy policies. EU membership, the pros. After 2 devastating world wars, the EU provides peace and security for its citizens. Freedom. Any European citizen has the right to live, study, and work in any of the member states. Economic stability. Many jobs in the UK depend on EU membership. The EU doesn't have any trade barriers, and every EU citizen gets the same rights and benefits.
Wenn du noch mal nachschauen willst, wie die ganze Geschichte zwischen Großbritannien und der EU angefangen hat, dann klick die anderen Kapitel an. Sonst findest du natürlich noch viel mehr auf unserer Homepage bei alphaLernen, wie zum Beispiel auch unseren Spickzettel.